Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk. We have an amazing show for you guys tonight. We want to let you know Pam is out tonight. She's having some technical difficulties, and she's probably not going to be able to make it. But that's okay because we have Trisha filling in, and Zen is here, and of course Alicia, and then myself. So some of you may not know Trisha. Why don't we start with Trisha? Why don't you introduce yourself and let people know your channel and just a little bit about it, and then we're going to move on.
Okay. Well, my name is Trisha. I live in Denton, Texas, and I run around with a few girls, and we call ourselves the Pretty Losers. You can catch us at prettylosers.com, and we're a rowdy bunch.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you being here. We're
Anytime.
excited to have you on. Tonight's topic, you guys, is self-labeling and segregation. And when we're talking about segregation, we're talking about like within the YouTube community. I mean, we can touch on it anyway. That's kind of what we're focusing on. There's been a lot of talk and chatting and stuff like that going on about people feeling like there is segregation in the community of different kinds. So we're going to touch on that a little bit and also touch on something. So before we get started, I want to go ahead and the question is, what is self-labeling? Now, there's all kinds of different definitions for it, but I felt like this one was a really good one, and if any of you have a different one to share, you're welcome to do that. Okay, a word, phrase, or thought you attach to yourself. Society has given us labels that are attached to ourselves without thought. The problem is many of those labels are negative or promote negative results or comments. So let's go ahead. What is your guys' definition of self-labeling? Let's start with Alicia. Alicia, what's your definition of self-labeling?
Well, I mean, I think we all label ourselves like, I happen to be a loudmouth, so who speaks my mind? So, I think we all feel like there's something within ourselves that we, that kind of defines, like, explains who we are. And I think that's, I label myself as say anything kind of person.
Okay. And what about you, Trisha?
I don't really have a label, I don't think. I think I'm go with the flow. I think self-labeling to me stopped in high school. Back then it was like the preps with the grunge kids, and then there was me that liked, everything, and they thought I was crazy, and I just let them believe that, so why not?
Right.
So I think I just stopped labeling myself then.
Okay, great. What about you?
Oh, as far as the definition, I don't disagree with the definition that you read. I think that they're words or groups of words used to describe traits or perceived traits that we have. And, such labels, race, religion, groups we're associated with, the way we eat, eating styles, overweight labels, things like that, I think are all valid, and people carry some of those forward from their past that they maybe identify with or don't. And then I think there's labels that people choose to associate themselves with. So, okay. Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
That's fair enough, and we're going to get into all these different explanations and touch on all this stuff as the show goes on. For me, mine is pretty much in line with what I read, and that's the reason that I chose that one. It was closest to my view on what self-labeling is, and I think the difference in self-labeling and society labeling us, or medical labels, like I'm a diabetic, I'm a, blah, 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 and the list goes on. So we'll get there in a second. What I want to ask you guys right now, and Trisha, you kind of answered this one, but really think, I'm going to go to the other two gals first, and I'm going to come back to you, because I really want you to think hard. You guys, Trisha came in at the last minute, so she hasn't had as much time to prepare for the show or know the topic as the rest of us. And so we understand. But then what labels are you using today, if any? What labels are you using for yourself that you use? Not like if you were high blood pressure, I'm not saying you have it or anything like that. what labels do you use today?
Primarily, I use positive labels for myself. I use spiritual. I use uh, fitness as one of my labels. That's something I focus on, and health. Those are the three labels, my biggest labels. And of course, the label that sticks in the back of my mind the most is obese. And I don't use that label, but I know it's there. You know what I'm saying? It attaches itself to me. So
Okay.
for now, that's the way it is.
And Alicia, what about you?
You know, I agree. I use the word often, obese. That's what I see myself as, and also just very outspoken.
Okay. And Trisha, what about you? If you thought of anything.
Now that I thought about it, of course, obese, and I think the word that really comes to my mind is massive. So that's what I've labeled myself as. I hear it in Nirvana's voice, massive.
Okay.
She has that voice that, yeah,
That's hilarious.
That's massive.
it's massive. Yeah.
For me, I mean, you know, I've used the term fat before and stuff like that, but I don't really think I ever used it as a label. I was just more in conversation about it. And I really haven't had a lot of like self-image issues and problems like that. Even when I was at my heaviest, I mean, of course, I would stand in front of a mirror and say, "Oh my God, what a disaster," or whatever. But I didn't let it drag me down. And you get on, and I think, everybody's done that here or there. If it's not about their weight, it's about something else with them. So for me, that was a sense of normalcy because it's not something that I did all the time. But one label that I definitely think I use for myself is a binger or a food addict because I am one. I've never been clinically diagnosed as that per se, but I was diagnosed bulimic, and I don't really talk about that a ton, and it's not that I'm embarrassed of it. I've talked about it some, but it is a past part of my life. It is a part that was very in your face, so to say, but it's not something that I've dealt with over the last 20, 25 years. So for me, it's kind of like going back and beating on a dead horse, unless I'm making a video or something on my channel to post talking about it for request, or I think about something or that effect. But I definitely think that I label myself as a food addict and a binge eater. So those would be what I do myself. The viewers, if you want to weigh in and share what you may be labeling yourself, we're going to go ahead and read that out on the air and share it. Share as much as you feel comfortable with it. Okay, let's see. Then why don't you weigh in and talk about, as talking about labeling, does labeling bother you, and if so, how? How does it bother you?
Personally, the way people label themselves or the way I think about myself. I'm not sure which way to approach a question.
You can weigh in on either. Either way, whether you do it yourself or, if we label ourselves, sometimes we may be doing it negatively, sometimes not always, but how other people maybe within the community label themselves or something to that effect.
Well, I think that in general, labels can be descriptive. I think that most words are labels, and there's all a gazillion types of labels. But I think that some of the labels are negative, and I think that self-labeling to a great degree is not helpful for the person or for myself. I mean, other than supermodel, which you forgot to mention, Rob, you and I.
I'm just so used to being a supermodel. It's not on my mind. I don't think about it.
No, I know, but I had to throw that out there. And
knows that. Okay, now go ahead.
Okay, so basically, I think some of the words, like labeling eating styles too, can make people sometimes take something that they might have thought was good if they're eating, for instance, vegan, not to pick on them, but vegan have kind of a bad rap, going back to the older days. So as far as the taste of the food, or like eating, bars that taste like bricks and bread that tastes like a rock, and so somebody could be eating vegan food and not know it, but when someone says vegan, then it kind of like, ick. Kind of like, ew. A lot of people, that just like turns them off. So I think that's the danger of labels, and I think that people that use labels that associate with groups, for like religion, you could say I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, I'm a Muslim, all those things, because they're factual, and sometimes people bring those labels forward in society and their groups and other groups of friends, and other times they keep those back to themselves. So I think labels are used all different kind of ways, and I think there's a lot of harmful labeling with kids that goes on, and that's a whole nother topic.
And I think, too, with the vegan that you touched on and that kind of a thing, I think what rubs a lot of people the wrong way is not everybody that's vegan. So people, please hear the word some. Some vegans can be very judgmental of others because they also have either political or real strong beliefs on people eating meat. And so my theory is, if you don't want to eat it, I don't think you should. You should, and I don't care if you say that you're vegan, but I don't think it's anybody's right to step in if someone else were to be eating meat and say, how dare you be eating that meat? Don't you know about animal? Because you don't know what those other people's beliefs are. So just because your belief is vegan and that you don't believe that animals should be consumed that way, it's right to believe that, and people should respect that. But you should also respect people that choose to eat meat and that may not have the same belief that you do about land animal consumption. So they get a bad, they do get that rap, and unfortunately it's like a blanket effect to all of them when not all of them have those feelings. Our co-host on the show, Pam, is not here tonight, but she is a vegan, and she transitioned for a year, and she is someone who respects all people no matter what they choose, don't judge people for eating meat, and so on and so forth, and that's really great. And it's the same with our friend Gaming Jenny. She's the same way. She doesn't have a problem with people eating meat, but she chooses not to. But there are people that are just go absolutely ballistic about that topic. Does anyone want to weigh in on that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that people sometimes don't want to say that they're vegan because of because of people saying, oh, you're vegan. Oh, yeah, you're one of them, and stuff. And then, but at the same time, too, there are vegans who if you don't eat the way that they do, then, it's not okay. It's not okay.
Yeah. I actually had a friend that would say, oh, you're going to eat flesh? And I'd be like, yeah, I mean, why do you have to say that? Nobody wants to think about that.
Yeah.
But every time she would bring up meat, it would not be meat, it would be flesh. And I think I told you about this before, Rob, on a different show when it came up. And, yeah, that friend of mine, we're still friends, but it's kind of like, I just don't want to be around somebody so much that's talking like that.
Yeah.
That's very negative to me.
Nobody wants anything shoved down their throat, and I can respect whatever method people use. All of us choose a different way of eating or following a different plan or a different dietary intake, but the fact of the matter is nobody truly probably gives a shit except for you and maybe your doctor if you're under a special eating plan. So, I don't think it's important to necessarily share it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with being proud of what you are. Like, I think a lot of people that throw out that they're vegan, like, for instance, let's use our friend and co-host on the show, Pam, because we know her. I think she's proud of the progress that she's made, and I think for her, using the word vegan, and I could be 100% wrong, and if I am, I know she will correct me next week. But I think that it gives her a sense of something to be proud of. It also lets her know, oh my God, I've come so far. I'm a vegan, and but yet she's not judgmental of others. So I think there's a sense of being proud and honor that goes with labeling yourself with those kinds of labels. We see that a lot in this community with people who say they're runners. Everybody, wants to be a runner. Not everybody, but you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so they say it over and over and over and over. And as their journey goes on and they've been on longer and longer, you hear them less talking about that because they really don't have to prove to their self anymore that they're a runner because they know they are. So I think some sense it's reassuring being proud of what you've accomplished. Anybody weigh in on that?
I think as far as like the whole vegan thing, people that I've encountered that were like that are like the new people. Like they just got into being vegan and it's like they're all gung-ho and they're like, oh, you eat meat, gross, you're going to die sooner, things like that. But, friends that I've had that have been vegan since as long as I can remember, they don't constantly push that in your face. If you're at a restaurant and you order something, you're like, oh, you're not going to get any meat? Oh, I'm vegan. Or, oh, I'm this. I just think a lot of people that are new to things like running or whatever, they're all gung-ho, and maybe that's just a way of getting them excited, but it comes judgmental. I run, why don't you run? Or, I don't eat meat, why do you eat meat? Kind of thing.
I think that goes to the segregation, issue question, part that is part of the title of the show.
Right.
The segregation that takes place in those subgroups, whether it be vegan, and we don't have to stay on that subject, runners, just weight loss in general is like a label, right? The weight loss community is just a huge label, and within that are multiple sub-labels, right? Those who have met goal, those who haven't met goal, those who have regained. All
Which
this
leads to the segregation factor too, and we
Do you
are going to
think
talk
that,
about.
I think that people do like label themselves, like you said, like the vegan and the runners, and I think when people are constantly saying it, it's like, yeah, hi, I'm so and so, I'm a vegan or I'm a runner, and it's like, when I hear people say that, I feel like they're trying to convince themselves that that's what they are, or that's what they want to be, And you don't have to convince anyone. You just are what you are, or who you are, But I think it's like they're trying so hard to convince themselves that, they put this. It's like, my name's Alicia, and vegan is my last name. I mean, it doesn't matter. I've seen people who have kids. I actually have a friend who, her son is autistic, and it's always like, my name is so and so, my son is autistic, and it's like, but like I understand that, but you don't have to, introduce yourself as, this is my name and this is my son, and this is what he is. And that always bothers me because it's like, he's a child, I look at him like all the other children and stuff. So I think people they do that to convince themselves.
Yeah.
I think it helps them order their thoughts. You know what I mean? Because if they know he's autistic, then they have a whole spectrum of behaviors that they can expect or possibly expect when encountering that child. And, I think the mom is probably doing it to be helpful, to kind of like prep the people she's introducing him to maybe what behaviors they might expect. But on the other hand, once they know you, there's no reason to continue the labeling. It's kind of like, it is what it is, and here he is. He's a person, he's just like the rest of us. He's just got a medical condition.
No.
Yeah.
And I think the important thing for the viewers to know too is we're not singling out vegans and runners. Those are just two examples we use. There's countless that go with the topic. I want to read a comment that's coming in from Charlene, and it says, I label myself as fat ass, lazy, unworthy, smart, trustworthy, self-conscious, insecure, wise-ass, sarcastic loser when it comes to staying on track, but loser, not a loser as in weight loss loser, judgmental, hard worker, go-to person, reasonable, honest, Mostly everything is negative, except for when it comes to personality traits regarding my work ethic. My lack of control is really what causes all of these negative. I don't control my diet, my mouth, my thoughts, my actions. I don't follow through most of the time, and that is my downfall. Thanks, Charlene, for being honest and sharing that. I think that it takes a lot to share those kinds of things, and um, I don't think there's nothing wrong with being someone who doesn't necessarily. Well, I don't know. There's two sides to it when you don't control your mouth, your thoughts, and your actions. Sometimes people that don't do that, they tend to not listen and jump right and go over the top. I think it's always important. I don't think that's necessarily a bad personality to have or nothing, but I also think that you always have to be willing to listen and think things through, even if it's for like 15 seconds before you react, just to make sure that as you're speaking, you're not changing your mind, because the first thing that came to your mind you talk about. So, but that is awesome sharing that. And sorry about that, guys. So we're also talking tonight about segregation. And by segregation, we were talking about basically the community, because that's how we all really know each other. I mean, there has us each outside of the community, but for the most part, we know each other from inside of the community. So that's kind of what we're focusing on. Do you think, I'm going to ask you guys this question, do you think there is segregation in the YouTube community? That's a pretty simple question. You can elaborate on it because the question is going to go one step further, but we're going to start with this. Do you think there is segregation in the YouTube community? Alicia, we're going to start with you.
Oh yeah, big time. I've seen it, I've experienced it, and I think that there is these, like, it's like groups. I feel like I'm back in high school. Really. I feel like sometimes YouTube, it's like, it's almost as bad as it was in high school, There's the people who've had weight loss surgery, people who haven't had weight loss surgery, people who are, well, I'm doing it on my own, or I've had VSG, I've had lap band, I've had, R&Y, and it just, it drives me crazy. Like, it gets out of hand. It gets out of hand. And I've seen it all over, not only YouTube, but Facebook, and just everywhere, it seems like.
Yeah. Trisha, what about you?
Yes, that's, yeah.
Okay. Zen, what about you?
Oh, I think there's definite segregation on YouTube, and I don't think all of it is definitely negative. But I think some of it can be and has been from what I've witnessed. I personally haven't participated in, any incidents that I can think of offhand. However, I just think that labeling can be done by an individual toward another group, or it can be done by an individual to another specific individual, calling them out or something, and, in one way or another. But I think in general, it's like Alicia said, that there's the subgroups, the weight loss, not versus the non-weight loss surgery, the people who have made it to goal, the people who haven't made it to goal, the people who have regained, the people who we believe are truthful, and the people that we think are just bullshitting us. It goes all the way down. The fashionistas, right, and then the runners, the vegans, and the diehard fitness queens, the super athletes. I mean, there's dozens of segregated, roles, if you want to break it down like that.
Yeah. And I would agree. I mean, obviously, it's going to be unanimous on the panel. I think anybody that is truly active in YouTube, and the people that are watching, you're welcome to weigh in, would agree there's some form of segregation. I agree that I don't think that it's all bad, and I think people fall into these groups because I don't think it's any different than any other group or channel where people congregate into a certain category, weight loss, and then within there's a bunch. Online gaming, and then there's certain groups within there. I don't think that there's, I think people go with who they can relate to the most and understand the most, or maybe going through the same thing as them. I, I think, I personally think it's sad when someone will not have anything to do with someone unless they've had this surgery at this stage, done it this way, and that kind of a thing. To me, you're limiting yourself, and that's fine if that's what you choose to do, but then you're missing out on a lot of great people with a lot of great stories on YouTube. But in the end, it's everybody's choice who they decide to follow and what you choose to do. And if you choose to limit yourself and segregate yourself, then you get what you got, and that's it.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think
it's
it
no
can
different than
be,
anything.
I think it can be not the segregation, but I mean, I think it can be kind of a good thing too, because like, there's certain points in our, for me, example, being over 500 pounds, it's like, yeah, I wanted to find other people who understand, who understand that, and who get that, and I mean, like, I've been friends, Rob, with you for a while, and I know that you understand the whole, weight loss thing, but it's like to have other people who understand what it's like to be, uh, over a certain amount of weight, and I think, and I still find that, I mean, I've had people reach out to me and say, what was your highest, because they want to be able to feel like they can relate to someone
They're
like
not
that.
alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you feel that way, Trisha? I know that we've kind of been, in that whole, like, where people,
Category together.
there you go,
Yeah.
but people do.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean that's how I found Alicia and Nirvana was. I wanted to find somebody that was like me, and because you have these feelings that you're alone, and nobody wants to feel like they're alone, and because if you're alone, oh my God, you're really that pathetic. So um, when I found Alicia and Nirvana, and I was like, okay, there's more people like me. They also have anxiety. They also have these phobias, you know, life problems. When we were children, we were all, crazy stuff happened. But that's how I found the people that I started talking to. But that doesn't put like a barrier, because the people that I've met, I have nothing in common with other than we're all trying to lose weight. And I have a really close friend that she gets upset because like VSGers stay with the VSGs and the RNYs stay with the RNYs. And I'm like, well, maybe that's just because some of these people have met each other in real life, and that's the bond that they have. And once you meet somebody in real life, it's no longer on YouTube or Facebook. It's a different bond. And I'm not saying that my bond's any less like with Nirvana or Heather or Rob or you, but if we ever meet in person, it's going to be stronger.
Right.
And maybe that's where the whole clique segregation comes from, but I could be completely wrong. I don't know.
Well, I think it's an opinion or things you've witnessed, and I mean, and I think that's what we all do. I think there's even segregation between the groups, like Alicia was saying, and Zen and I have talked about it, and just between the VSGers and the RNYs and the lap banders and that kind of a thing. And when I started YouTube, I came on looking for people that were losing weight, and so when I came in, I found that, and it was mostly a bunch of women. So I typed in guys losing weight, and then it pulled up guys. And a lot of the guys that I found at first were guys that were losing weight the traditional way. And then I started seeing people that had surgery, and I'm like, oh, this person's had surgery. What did they have? And then I would read up on them, and then I would subscribe to them. And it didn't matter to me. And but see, I knew that they could relate to me because they'd been in my shoes before, and maybe not anymore, but they'd been in it because they'd had the surgery. But it was harder for me to probably relate to them. So they were trying to look more for people that had the surgery they had so they could get advice, find out what struggles they had. And I get that, and I respect that 100%. What I hate to see, like I said before, is where someone will limit themselves to just a certain group because that's all they feel they can benefit from. And but if they choose to do that, like I said, everybody has a right to do that. Real quick, we're gonna put a couple comments out there, and then we're gonna go to you guys for anything that you want to add. TJ Brownfield said vegans are as bad as those Christian folks. Is that our TJ that's coming on next week?
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
Lord. He's gonna have a phone. Frenchy Girl in the USA said, Zen, I like the last comment about autism. Thank you for saying that a child is like everyone else except he has a medical condition, because that is how I feel about my 20-year-old. I don't treat my son who has autism. I treat him as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, you guys, I don't think the comments, oh, hold on, we got a couple more. I was gonna say, I think comments are loading right, but we're going to see what shows up here. Tricia, you are absolutely right with that statement. The bond is totally different after you meet people. And you know what, I can agree with that. Nadine is here, Embracing Wellness. I've met Tina, who's Prairie Princess, Julie Wilson, who's I don't think in the YouTube community any longer, but was for a long time and lost a lot of weight. And I'm going to be meeting Carol Williamson in April, so I'm really excited about that. So I think the bond is tighter when you meet somebody because you can physically hug them, see them, they look different in person, that kind of a thing. So I get that part of it. I understand that part. The second part of that question was this. I was talking about, do you think there's segregation in the YouTube community? And then the second part was if so, what kind do you see the most? What kind of segregation do you feel you see most within YouTube? Narrowing it down to what you think you see the most of. Alicia, let's start with you.
As far as, well, when I think about it, as far as YouTube, there's like, separating yourself from, like, there's the beauty community, there's like the vaping community, there's this, this weight loss community, and it's like, okay, which one are you in? And like for me, I've done all of them. And there's like gaming community, and there's, but I don't really know about those, but those
nerds.
No, right? No, I'm not a gamer, but my son is. So, but there, I think that you do get separated, and there's sometimes one thinks that they're better than the other, and I think that they're just we all do different things. And I did want to make a comment too. A lot of times, like me, as having weight loss surgery, people will be like, "Oh, how did you lose weight?" Because there's not a sign on me that said, I had weight loss surgery. I had the RNY. And they'll be like, "Oh, when they find out I've lost like almost 200 pounds, how'd you lose weight?" I say I had, gastric bypass, and they're like, "Oh, that's why." Oh, you had the surgery.
That's
like,
why.
That's how you did it. And
You
it's
took
like,
the easy way out, Rob.
You took the easy way out, Alicia.
I did. And
how about we took the only
Rob
way?
said it.
Yeah.
Cheesecake.
I've been accused of saying that people that's had weight loss surgery take the easy way out, and that's total bullshit. I never said that. So. But anybody that knows me knows I didn't say that.
Yeah.
So.
But that's one thing that I don't, because I feel like at this point, I'm almost, I'm over a year and a half out, and I feel like a lot of times, obviously my stomach is smaller than yours, but I still feel like we are both, like we all battle the same, stuff with food and with trying to lose weight. I'm still trying to lose weight, I don't see myself any differently. Yes, I did have to have surgery, but that wasn't you know, I'm still working out, I'm still eating, I'm still doing everything else, you know, that you're doing.
Right. Then you were
Still
going to say
eat
something?
cheesecake, just so
Oh,
everyone knows. I still do eat cheesecake. Just saying.
oh Lord.
Don't
Yeah.
bring the cheesecake up, please, God.
Oh, here we go. I was going to say that I think a lot of time that segregation comes with groups of friends, and it isn't necessarily just uh, type of surgery. I think that when people make a friendship bond, whether they've met or not, and maybe more so if they have, then they have that in common. And they found someone that they like. There's something that maybe that person says, or the way they are resonates with that person. Oh, she's just like me. You know, when I was 20 years younger, or you know, I mean, it could be anything in the world. You know what I mean? It
No.
doesn't matter because I mean, how do you you can't describe whatever the feeling is. And there, it is true that you know that some people do seem to resonate toward or gravitate toward people of their own surgery. I think at the beginning it may be more so when they see someone really successful, or they see someone whose conversation is attractive to them, their style of conversating and their format of videos that they just enjoy watching them, and they're learning something from someone who's ahead of them at the beginning. I think farther down the line, we look for different things, right? The playing field becomes more level after a year and a half when the golden window of weight loss surgery closes, and it's every man for themselves, sink or swim. And then we kind of try to look toward people maybe who can give information to us, maybe people who are more medically based, maybe more different types of presentations from the community or the medical community that can assist us in learning more about nutrition and learning more about water absorption and carbs. Thank you, TJ. I'm still waiting to hear the rest of that. Um, yeah, I mean, because these type of pieces of information are small nuggets that we gather along the way. And segregation or not, I mean, we need to know what we need to know. And that's the way I am anyway. I can't speak for anybody else here, but at this point in the game, I love to watch the people who I subscribe to and who I'm interested in their conversation and their style, their journey, their life, regardless of whatever surgery, non-surgery. I like you because I like you, in other words. If I don't like you, I don't watch you. I'm not going to give you a thumbs down. I'm just going to turn you off. You know, move to the next one. Just just saying. One thing I did
Right.
see when I was first post-op, I went to the first meet and greet in 2012, and I was very disillusioned in some ways because I thought that the people were like maybe would be like their videos, but a lot of them were not. It was more clicky, and I felt like it was because I didn't know really anyone. I went like by myself. So it's kind of like I didn't have a big group of people that I was taking with me. I had a few close people that I had talked to, and so I kind of hung out with them. But I think everyone was friendly, but it was like, okay, we're friendly, we're going to meet you, greet you, and we're going to go back to our group of friends. So, you know, I don't know if the group of friends was because they'd known each other forever, which is probably what it was, right? And so as a new person, you felt more of an outsider, you know?
Right.
So that's another example.
Coming in from Peniara, it says, I have noticed a lot of it in the community. I have only been a part of the community for a few months, and now I had no life out there. I came out here, excuse me, I came out here feeling we are all in this with the same goal in mind, but I found it to be quite different once I got out here. I have found it very hard to really fit in somewhere out here because I believe we should all cheer each other on. To me, it doesn't matter. To me how we are doing it. So she brings a very good point, and I'll tell you guys right now, when I started back in 2012, I did not see the segregation, and I don't believe that I would have been blind to it because I think I would have noticed it more, like feeling like I can't fit in. There has definitely been a shift in it, and I think that people all these come to that one, and I think that happens quite a bit. I'm not saying that it's right or it's wrong, but I think it happens. Alicia, what you laughing about?
No, I was just thinking about it. I was like, no, I was just thinking about the fact that when I first started YouTube, also, which was about 2.5 years ago, I felt personally like I didn't see how it is now. It's like, it almost feels like to me that sometimes weight loss surgery is the in thing to do, you know? It really feels like that to me, and that's my personal opinion. And I don't know, I don't like to see that, because I'm just like, I have a lot, I don't know, I know a lot of people, I have a lot of friends, and I respect a lot of people, you know. It's just, for me, for instance, it was my last resort. It was like, I was type 2 diabetic. I was, you know, I was dying. I was dying, and I couldn't get out of the hole that I was in, you know. But I have honestly seen people who, and probably shouldn't be saying this, but you know, I have seen people that maybe are not as large as maybe they think they are, and I think if they worked a little harder, that it's possible for them to do it without surgery, you know.
Okay,
And
the whole big can of worms there.
Yeah,
I want to
you know
stop
what?
right there.
No,
your
I
opinion,
am.
you know, but
You know, but that's my opinion and stuff.
Right.
But I'm just saying, you know, I feel like it's, and I'm not saying that this hasn't been easy. It's not easy for anybody, and losing weight, you know, without surgery, that's not easy either. You know, none of this is easy. So the whole, like, well, you did it the easy route, the surgical route. Surgery is never easy. You know,
Right.
all this, it's just
Right.
not easy.
But you know, Alicia, on the other side of that coin, you know, you opened that can of worms. Now I'm going to step right there with right.
And I'm next after her, by the way.
Because okay,
ahead.
I'll let you talk, Tricia. I'll come back
Okay.
to you because I got something to say.
I'm going to take this first off. I mean, you really can't say, you know, it's like me saying, oh, well, I'm this weight, bazillion pounds. I deserve this weight loss surgery, not you who weighs 230 pounds. You don't know if this person has sleep apnea. You don't know if they have diabetes. You don't know if they have a disease that you don't know what they're doing. You don't know their shoes. You don't know their path. You don't know this.
Sure.
So making like that observation of, oh, you really shouldn't have weight loss surgery. I have heard that so many times, more than I've heard, oh, I had VSG, can't sit with me. Remark. You know, as much as you don't want to be segregated or pushed aside because you didn't have VSG or she had RNY or whatever, you can't sit there and be judgmental about who should and should not have surgery. That's not up to you. That's not your decision. That's not your life. That's not it's not your path. So I just think you need to back it up a little bit. So, I mean, you know, I think, you know, I know a lot of people that have had the surgery who are way less weight than I am, and that was their thing. That's what they do. Some couldn't have children, some had women issues. You know, it's just, that's not my path. That's not my way to judge, and that's their thing, just as much as it's your thing to have it or have your skin removed or get something. You know, I can't tell you what to wear, what to do to your body.
Yeah.
Well, when you say it also further to that, like
Ben, hold on just a second. And Alicia and fairness, you're entitled to your opinion, and
Well, yeah, of course.
there's nothing wrong with that. Tricia has a valid point. And some people could have said about you, Alicia, and I agree with both sides. But someone could have said, well, you know, you're kind of big and you're probably going to die in a year anyway, so let someone else have the surgery. So, I mean, some people could say that too, but I do want to say that, you know, I respect both sides of the thing. You're going to have Zen and Zen.
Oh, hey, I can't hardly any of that, Rob. You were echoing so bad. But anyway, my point of view is like I kind of feel like because to have an opinion like that, to say that perhaps somebody at a lower weight should try harder or whatever. Again, like Tricia said, you're not in their shoes. You don't know what they tried. They could have tried everything. They could have multiple disorders, and because they aren't as large as you think they should be before they have surgery, then whatever in that regard. And in addition to that, I feel like, well, I was 252 pounds when I had my surgery. I thought I was huge.
Right.
For my frame, for my size, that was big for me. And I just wish that I had woke up when I was 200 instead of 252 and said, shit, I need weight loss surgery now. Because maybe I would have had a better success, and I would have been younger. So if I'd woke up 20 years prior to that or 15 years prior to that, then, I would have been at a lower weight. I think it probably would have been more successful in the power of the tool with my metabolism, etc. So anyway, that's just my take on it, and it's not a criticism, Alicia. It's just POV.
Yeah.
No, and one thing you will.
He's not hurt.
One thing you will.
No.
Sorry, go ahead, Trisha.
Oh, I just asked if she was butt hurt. Well, she's not butt hurt.
No, not.
One thing you will still do in the community, and that probably isn't going to be the popular comment in the community that I have today. Let me plug this headset in real quick to see if this helps. I don't know if that helps. I think one thing that you see in the weight loss community a lot is people who have weight loss surgery get very defensive, and they feel like weight loss surgery is the answer for everybody. And that's not the case. They almost become an advocate, like they have to defend it constantly. And, you can be a cheerleader if you want, but weight loss surgery isn't necessarily for everybody. Mm-hmm. And that has to be those people's decision. And you'll have people that have had weight loss surgery that have been successful go to other people on the opposite of what Alicia said and said, why don't you have surgery? Look how, why don't you have surgery? So why do they got to shove it down everybody's throat? If it was their choice to have it, that's fine. But it has to be everybody's choice.
Right?
Anybody want to weigh in, or the cat got tongue?
No,
or what's going on?
I think it is everyone's choice. It really is. I mean, it really is.
Right.
Rob is being naughty daddy.
What's new?
Ben, I know you got something to say, because you always got something to say.
You talking to me? Did you say Zen?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I always got something to say. Shit. Okay. So your point. Go back to your. Go ahead with what the point was, because I think I just spaced it out. But no, I heard what you said about it. It's everybody's choice. Okay, and that goes without saying. From as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter to me if somebody chooses not to. It's just like for me, I just want to slap myself in the face and say, shit, I should have done it 15 years ago. Right. I mean, I think a lot of people want to slap themselves in the face and say, shit, I should have done it 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. What the hell was wrong with me that I didn't get there? And for those who choose not to, I mean, that, again, is their choice. If they don't feel like that's a solution, a viable, workable solution for them, and that they can do it on their own, or they don't give a shit and don't want to do it, period, then that's the way that is. And
to be devil's advocate just real quick, and this isn't necessarily my view, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
There we go.
Here we go, right? When you go into this topic and you say, I should have done this 10 years ago, when you were 25 pounds overweight, why didn't you do something about it then? I mean, why does it have to get to the point where you're so far gone that you're saying, I wish I would have had surgery 10 or 15 years ago? Well, what if you would have taken control back then? Because the surgery isn't going to change your mind. It's only going to change.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what happened for me. I had a mental shift, it didn't really hit me so hard until I realized that where I was headed, the state I was in, for a long time I was kind of in just like my own world. Being overweight, having young kids, taking care of the kids. It was all about the kids, because I was a single parent, 3 kids. I had 2 bio, and I adopted 1. So that was my choice, again. But it kept me busy, and it kept my mind off of me and my life. I just lived for taking care of my kids. So, I mean, it was kind of like I awoke one day and realized, okay, these kids are going to grow up one day, and here you are, and this is what you do. This is what you do, and you have to change your life if you want to have any hope of living longer, seeing your grandkids. You know, stop being this computer couch potato, shall I say? Because I was a computer addict, you know. And I just had to, like you said, and that's what I did for a great number of years, is just tune my own life out, focus my caring on my kids. And I think a lot of women do this. Like, you know, I'm not alone, I'm sure. And because of some things that have happened to me in my life, I wasn't feeling like I want to be out there in relationships and so forth. I was rather just like turn inward into myself, and it's kind of like I woke up and slapped myself in the face and said, shit, my life is passing by. I'm already, dang, you know, look at my watch. I lost a few years here. So, I mean, that's a simple explanation, but I think that's why for me, you know, that I can say that, okay, I could look back and say, well, and you say, why didn't I do it? Well, I guess I wasn't ready. And the other thing, I did not know enough about weight loss surgery. I literally thought, other than lap band, and I would hear of an occasional RNY, that I thought those were used in only extreme overweight cases, number one, especially for, I thought you had to be at least 100, 150 pounds overweight. And I also thought at first, when I heard weight loss surgery, I thought that it literally meant that they cut the weight off of you. You know what I mean? Like a 360 body lift. I thought that and because I didn't really know and didn't check it out. And that's the other thing. I just wish I had delved into it the way I like to research stuff. It just never crossed my mind that it would be an option and to check it out further. And I want to just slap myself again for that too. So
there's a lot of slapping going on.
Yeah.
I'm getting abused. Oh, it feels so good.
Face down, ass up, right? Trisha and Alicia, do you guys want to weigh in on this? Then we got some comments I'm going to read, and either of you want to weigh in, you're welcome to.
I think, you know, when you think, oh, I should have done it 10 years ago, maybe you just didn't have, I just didn't have the knowledge, or maybe I just didn't want it as bad as I want it now. So, wasn't ready. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Do you think sometimes, too, we see ourselves getting bigger and bigger, but since we're seeing it happen, it's like, oh, I'm 20 pounds overweight, oh, I'm 30 pounds overweight, and before you know it, you're like 150 pounds more. Because I think it then, until it hits you, or until you start having drastic consequences, like for me, sitting in a chair and laughing put me out of breath, or going on a plane and not being able to buckle a seatbelt, until we're truly affected so much to where it almost feels life-threatening, sometimes maybe we just don't do something. I don't know.
It's too late. It's like it's too late.
I'm not an exception to the rule. I got up to 322 pounds myself. I'm not an exception to any rule. And the points that I brought up were more for argument's sake, to keep the conversation going and be a devil's advocate. Because I've said before, I don't care what tool someone uses as long as they're getting healthy. I don't care if someone wants to put their tits on their back. It's nobody's business. That's just my opinion. And
how did you know what I did?
I got that quote from Cher, because everyone dogged Cher out for having so much plastic surgery. And she finally said in an interview, why do people care? If I want to put my tits on my back, it's nobody's business.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where I stand on it. I was making a lot of points for argument's sake.
I like
but there is certain ways of losing weight that I disagree with, but they're what I consider dangerous ways, a drastic step. And I don't think surgery is a drastic step. I think it's an amazing tool that's out there for people. Alicia, do you want to speak and be spoken to, or what's your story?
Well, no, I mean, I've had a lot of people say to me, and not just say to me, but look at me like with disgust. They're like, well, why didn't you, how could you let yourself get so big? That's the words that I always hear. And I'm like, I didn't set out to be 560 pounds. You know, I didn't set out to be almost 600 pounds. That wasn't my goal. I honestly did not know about, you know, I guess maybe I lived in a different world because I really didn't know about weight loss surgery. You know, I didn't. I went to my doctor. I listened to what my doctor said. I tried to do what my doctor said, and that was it. And I kept, you know, gaining and gaining. And I just didn't know anything about it until one of them sent me to a seminar. And I was like, okay. I was never given, and for me, like, you know, there's different options and stuff. I was never given an option. You know, there's this one, there's that one, there's, you know, all I knew was the doctor said, okay, you're going to have RNY, and that was it. That was it. I didn't know, you know,
But
and I was,
yours had to do a lot with having an open procedure, correct? That's why you had to go with RNY. Because of how they were, they had to have an unusual cut in.
huh? Sorry, you were like echoing really bad. I don't know what happened
I
there.
don't know what I'm talking about. Your issue is they had to cut, you had to have RNY, right?
Yeah. They didn't even give me, like, I wasn't even given an option. I just, like, it took me almost 4 years to even get my surgery. So, and then at that point it was like, okay, this is what you're gonna have, and I'm like, okay, you know, that's what my insurance was gonna pay for, and that's what was gonna happen. And for me, I literally couldn't walk. You know, I couldn't so much. So I just said, okay, you know, I just wanted to live. That's it.
Okay. We have a few comments coming in. Jessica Ward is saying, hi everyone. Gastric Rose says, I'm late, sorry. Pink Fairy said, hello everyone. Sister Scaleback RNY is here. Hi room. Gastric Rose said, I love all the groups or call them cliques. For me, I'm proud for each that each has made a life change and makes great health, which is really all about. Scaleback Sister says, I think it really depends if you are on YouTube as a social outlet or if you're on YouTube as a way of documenting your own journey for you. TJ said, they told me being too awesome was treatable with weight loss surgery. They were wrong. Penny R said she agrees with Alicia, or I'm sorry, with Trisha, on the topic of the weight loss surgery being to someone not being large enough. And then Love QVC said, I agree with Alicia. I see people getting surgery to lose only 100 pounds. I think they can lose it without surgery. It's ridiculous.
No.
So those are comments that I'm going to refresh the screen real quick, but those are comments that the viewers are sharing. And like I said, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You don't have to agree with them, but that might be it. TJ said, dirty RNY, my doctor tried to talk me into RNY.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mine did too.
yeah. Is there a reason why? Do they make more money from that surgery? I'm just curious. What would be the reason?
I know for sure it is considered the gold standard, Rob. And the gold standard, and I think that they find it's what my surgeon quoted me was 85% excess weight can be lost as average, whereas with VSG the average projected weight loss would be 70% according to what my surgeon told me. And I thought I could take the odds and just go with the VSG because I thought it was less invasive. And at this point, I would have to say that I could probably deal with any dumping that I had, but at the time, I just thought I couldn't deal with it, the dumping. You know, I just didn't think I could deal with having that happen to me.
TJ weighed in on Love QVC and said you are incorrect. 100 pounds or greater weight loss has been proven to only be successful with weight loss surgery. I think there's a big success rate. I disagree with TJ, and I think using the word only is not fair because I know 5 people that have lost over 100 pounds and been very successful and have kept it off for many years. And I don't give a shit if you've had weight loss surgery or not. anyone can regain weight. And we see that in the weight loss community with weight loss surgery people and people that have not had it. And I have had a regain. And that's not just because I didn't have weight loss surgery. So I think it's totally unfair for TJ to say that only successful loss with weight loss surgery. That's not true. So I think he's incorrect there.
Rob, just to throw this out there, I think that he may have made the statement because sometimes people have metabolic syndrome, and
Zen's defending her VSG buddy. I'm just trying to get it riled up, you guys. I'm getting tag teamed by Zen and TJ now. You know, so they're ganging up on me. They hate me. Both of them hate me to death. Everybody, they hate me.
I love you.
Rob. You know that I love you.
I'm just kidding. I'm getting TJ riled because he's going to be on the show next week.
Okay, well, that's all good. That's all good. But, you know, the metabolic syndrome, it might be what he was referring to.
Oh, Zen froze. She must have been going to tell a lie. She froze. Before... Hold on, what Zen has to say nobody wants to hear. No, I'm just kidding. But she's frozen, guys, bless her heart. But let me say this real quick, and then we're going to go to Alicia. Next week, you guys, we have an amazing guest. TJ is going to be on, and we're going to be talking about obsession and addiction to YouTube. And it'd be so nice to have TJ on. I've never been on a show with him. He is crazy. And I have my work cut out for me as moderator on next week's show. So
didn't he leave YouTube or something, or?
I think he left YouTube, but I think he's been back because he's been like on the circuit of shows.
Yeah.
So,
I think
all I know is I sent him like 2 friend requests and I still haven't gotten a yes. So I'm not watching until he accepts my friend request.
okay, TJ, accept Trisha's friend request.
It's Trisha Pretty at Facebook, so I want a yes.
Yeah. So, everybody, I want to thank everybody for weighing in tonight. It could be a very touchy topic, but we had a good time. You know, everybody's entitled to their beliefs, their opinions, what they think is right, so on and so forth. And I like the fact that we had a little bit of spice with tonight's show. And I thank everybody for weighing in. And it was really fun to have that good conversation and be able to share it. And like I said, we're excited to have TJ on next week, so that's going to be super fun. And then Alicia, housekeeping?
Yes. Okay, before I say that, I do want to thank Trisha again because she is very spicy, and, you know,
You got called out.
She's very spicy. So I already knew that coming into this, that Trisha is a very spicy one, and yeah, she can definitely hold her own there. So with that being said, so I want to let everyone know in 2 weeks, 2 weeks on the 16th of February, we're gonna have VSG Bulldog.
Woo! That's my girl.
Lindsay Cooks. Or Lindsay, or whatever it is that she goes by these days. But we are going to have a Q&A show on that show. And so we want questions from you guys to ask her and the panel. So you can send your questions to realtalkmonday@gmail.com. And I'll leave that email down in the description also. But yeah, we want your questions to ask. And
I want to know if Lindsay will make out with me.
Well, you're gonna have to send us that email and ask. And we'll ask.
Everybody. Again, thank you, Trisha, for being with us tonight. It was nice having you on. Thank you to all the viewers for participating. We had a great time, and we will see you next Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care of everybody.
Bye.